Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sam64, and welcome to the RoboCast for the fourth episode of BattleBots 2018. I'm joined alongside, finally for this season,
Anderson 9132. Yes, I'm finally back.
Where'd
I
you
haven't missed
go?
it. Well, basically, it's a long story. For those of you in America who know this, Fox cancelled Lucifer, so of course I went on a murderous rampage, and then I spent the last 2 weeks in the corner of my room in my underpants, rocking backwards and forwards, crying my eyes out. But I'm better. I'm feeling good, and yeah. I guess I'm back.
And we've been joined by a guest from one of the teams in this episode. Introduce yourself, sir.
I'm Tom Brewster from Team Monsoon.
And totally not Team Tauron.
No affiliation with Team Tauron. No, not once.
Obviously, you were in Rebel Wars with Tauron Mark 1 and 2. How was it? How was America different? Was it particularly different in terms of the atmosphere there, or?
I think there was certainly a different atmosphere. I think the biggest thing from that was BattleBots just clearly had a much bigger budget. A lot of the robots that you see on Robot Wars really were typically more like the shed builds, right? I mean, even Tauron was absolutely a shed build. Whereas when you go to America, you see robots like Tantrum, for example, because that is an incredibly complicated spring-powered flipper, and I've seen the internals, and it is so complicated. And you get a lot of robots like that are very well engineered. Particularly robots like Sawblades, again, for example. That's an amazing robot. And I'm going over there with like a big old Tauron robot with like 2 wheels, big bar, 1 motor. Like, compared to them, I do feel very out-engineered.
I can understand that. Obviously, we've been joined by our resident American, Steve. Hello.
Hi there.
Jesus Christ. What did you think of episode 4 as a whole, Steve? Before we kick things off.
Episode 4. Well, I actually just watched it about an hour or so ago because I only caught I only caught the last match because I was actually driving home from school and I was able to catch that final match. Overall, I think the episode was pretty good. There was a lot of really like big hits, tense matches. There was we kind of had one. Not necessarily a stinker of a match, but I really wish the burger would have done more.
We'll get to the burger a bit later. We'll get to that a bit later for sure. But we must start off. I think we have to start off with Tom. Finally, after
Finally
got one.
2 years, gets a TV win. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
We've obviously we enjoyed watching Tauron in Royale Wars. We never really got to see what it could properly do. I don't think, and now with Monsoon, we can see what it can do. Go on, talk us through it.
Well, one thing that's a little bit annoying is that Tauron 2 has the exact kind of weapon setup as Monsoon. So seeing Monsoon does this is quite annoying because Tauron 2 could have totally done that kind of damage, but it never had the chance really. It was a flawed design, but Monsoon I'm pretty pleased with. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Red Devil is quite the opponent to take on. First of all, it's very beautiful. First of all, it's very aesthetically pleasing design.
How dare you, Tom, do that to my baby?
Oh, no. No, I'm so sorry.
But I think it was obviously we went to this off the call just before we started recording this. You crossing over enemy lines before the buzzer starting. What was that all about?
Yeah.
So before the fight started, Tim had the idea to fit a car horn to the robot, and this actually didn't make it into the robot. I'm going somewhere with this.
Shoot.
So the plan was, at the start of the fight, we were going to honk the horn and just kind of wiggle on over and kind of wiggle the butt of the robot at them, just give them a little bit of, bit of something to look at, and just kind of honk them out of it. Annoyingly, they actually edited out the horn for the entire fight, but I mean, I'm very thrilled that the wiggling made it in. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I always said your robot was the slut. It's horny.
The slut of the robot was has now become the slut of BattleBots.
It was twerking in the face of Red Devil. Who knew?
God.
I'd like to just be serious just so for a second. I know me being serious.
Yeah.
There's 2 things I'd like to bring up. First of all, having seen Tauron 1 and 2 underperform in Robot Wars, I do think that Tom has put a lot of hard work into Monsoon, aka Tauron 3, and it's nice to see that it actually does work this time and that he's gone through. So I just want to say well done first, mate. You've done a good job there. You've done yourself very proud. And secondly, as I just mentioned, Tauron 1 and 2 in the UK lost pretty badly. It has to admit, yet it owned its first battle here. So I think that proved that British robots were superior.
Hey!
It was a really cool it was a really cool fight, and obviously the first few hits you were properly giving Red Devil a good beating. Obviously, eventually your weapon stopped. What happened there? Do you know?
Yeah. So what happened was that when we were flipped, the weapon was spinning the wrong way round. So on the next hit, instead of hitting them upwards, we were hitting them downwards, right? Mm-hmm. So when we actually did that final hit that stopped the weapon, a piece of Red Devil was actually drawn into the bottom of the weapon. Oh. You imagine it was going the wrong way. Instead of hitting up, hitting towards us. Right. So on that very last hit, a bit of the wedge gets drawn into the bottom of the bulkheads and jams it up. And that was unfortunately it for the weapon. Yeah, I mean, of course, the idea was always to have it spinning both ways. But we were a little bit overweight. So for this fight, we only had it spinning one way.
So it wasn't necessarily like a design issue. It was more a case of, unfortunately, because of the weight constraints, you had to take out the dual spinning. Basically.
Yeah, that's basically it. And I mean, another thing from a practical standpoint, if you've hit someone the wrong way and your bar is still going, more often than not, you're going to get bounced back over the right way. But another thing that we've learned is that when the bar is spinning at full speed the wrong way, it is often better to hit them than to try and stop it and then spin it the other way, because that will take twice as long to stop it and then start it the other way. But again, that's one thing that we've only learned from doing Monsoon, because Tauron 1 and 2 didn't last long enough to try and the other way.
There wasn't enough time to figure out. Oh, that's what you should do.
Absolutely.
the feels there. The feels are too real. Obviously, you did get your first win. I will say, split decision. What on earth is that about?
I don't know. I
mean, in fairness,
I don't think it's possible for me to finish a fight without controversy. So,
in fairness, I think they after you lost the weapon, they did push you around a little bit, but I don't think it was like I don't think they earned enough to get that much of a point. I mean, come on.
I mean,
and according to the match edit, they're the only one that got hit by a kill saw.
That might be right, actually. Yeah. I mean, to be fair to them, they did have more pushing power than me with the tracks, and they were definitely doing their best with the wedge. But it was an interesting split decision. I think it surprised both of our teams really.
How does it feel smashing up such a beautiful robot? Is it painful, or is it enjoyable, or is it a bit of both?
Oh, it feels glorious.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Correct answer. And you hear that sound? That's Steve's head exploding with anger. There we go.
No, it was good to see it finally just do something, because I've tried Robot Wars twice now, and I think you can see my reaction when I just go, "Oh my god!" I think that was actually after the very first hit. So yes.
To be fair, that was my reaction when I saw it do it as well.
It did a full tumble in the air.
That was good fun.
It was great. Honestly, it was a really good fight. In general, obviously, you winning aside, I'm sure you probably enjoyed watching that back. But the fact that they went the distance, it was a good back and forth. Red Devil didn't die; it kept going, and obviously yourselves didn't die. You kept going. It was good stuff.
Red Devil's very well built. It's a phenomenal machine. They've got layers upon layers of redundancy. They can power both sides of the robot independently, and it's a very nice machine, really is.
It must be a nightmare to drive.
I guess it might be, right? Yeah, but I like the tracks. I really do like tracked robots. Yeah, good.
You don't really see them anymore, do you? It's good to see something, a bit of a throwback like that, I guess. But it does mean Monsoon gets a W and Tom gets his first win. Hurrah!
Where to go, Mr. Brewster?
Weird.
Go on.
But I definitely couldn't have done it without the team, and I've got to thank Tim and Sam and Sarah, because I would definitely not have got there without them. Tim rewired the entire robot, bless him, and Sam helped to redesign the weapon bulkheads to make them more unique for Monsoon, and I could not have done them at all. They're the best. They're all the best.
Now you're no longer the person who's waiting to win. Now you're expected to win. So we'll see.
Don't say that. Don't do that.
Pressure's on now. We might see in a few weeks how you get on. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see in the coming weeks.
There you go. We'll see in a couple of weeks how Tom gets on. But in the meantime, there are more fights to look at this evening. And our next fight was a bit of an interesting one. Scorpios and Lucky. For me, I thought this was pretty much a shoe-in for Lucky because I think they were quite unlucky last time to fight two really strong robots in Beta and Yeti. But Scorpios were phenomenal. They've really turned up and, much like Sawblades last week, showed that a circular saw can win fights. It is competitive.
Mm-hmm. It was a beautiful fight. It was more of a finesse fight than like what our first fight was, just big hits, and it was almost an opposite fight where it just seeing that thing throw sparks. It may not be doing a whole lot of like surface damage, but it's putting on the show. It's selling points for the judges. It was beautiful.
What do you obviously Robotier side here, Tom? What do you make of Lucky and Scorpios? How would you have approached this from either side?
Well, I'm a big fan of Lucky, to be honest, because I think it's an amazing looking robot. It's interesting to see the American design of the whole 4-bar flipper, and you don't see many of those in the UK really. Versus the wedge flippers in the UK, you don't really see those in the US either. It's always fascinating to watch because I always think that instead of launching up, they kind of throw almost. They throw the robot further forward. And it was a good fight. It was good to see Lucky flipping properly and retracting that flipper. And it was a good solid fight. But I think unfortunately they had those the wedges out front, didn't they? I don't think those were low enough to get under the other robot. But it was a good fight. And it's good to see an overhead saw win a fight, as opposed to like a big old spinner. I guess that I'm a big old spinner, but it's good to see the.
So, I mean,
it's good to see the things that aren't the current meta, I guess, like win fights. It's good to see that. It is.
I will say, Anderson, you were particularly impressed with Scorpios in this, weren't you?
Oh, I was very impressed. I was because I was expecting. I'll be honest. Lucky was my pick for this battle. Easy. I thought this is going to be an easy win for Lucky. And I tell you, it had a vibe for me a bit like Pussycat vs Hypnodisc Series 4 Grand Final. You got Lucky, the favourite to win, and then literally just one precise time drive and one precise use of the weapon, and Scorpios had their wheel done, and that was it. And I tell you what, I mean that people, there's people out there who love Carnage. I like Carnage too, but I also do believe that a big part of robot combat is driving control and tactics. And this battle proves that to me. I mean, Lucky has the big weapon. It has the more. I don't know if it's more expensive or not, but it's definitely got a lot of good tech in there. But one person driving better than the other will always come out on top, and this battle proved it. And plus, those sparks, man. Oh my god. Oh Jesus.
I couldn't get over that.
Live for sparks. I mean, there's a reason why Dead Metal's my favorite house robot from Robot Wars, and this is the reason why Scorpios is now one of my favorite robots in BattleBots.
Oh really? It's gone right up there for you.
It's gone right up there. It's one of my favourites. It's a beautiful looking robot as well. I mean, I know Tom earlier said Lucky looked good, but I think Scorpios looks fantastic. It looks Anyway, let's calm down.
The thing is as well, it's so small as well. Like Scorpios is really small. It's really really compact, really nicely made. But Lucky again. It's in BattleBots as a whole. They're yet to win a fight, which surprises me quite a lot.
They're
considering
rather unlucky.
Yeah, considering how well they did on the live circuit under the guise of Ziggy.
Super heavyweight, man. That thing, Ziggy was terrifying. It was one of those robots you didn't want to face, and I guess I think I don't know if I talked about this when because we're doing our season 2 review eventually, but I think I did bring it up in that where things have kind of moved on from Ziggy, And while they've kind of stayed very similar to how that robot has always been, a big thrusting, maybe not the best word.
A big launcher. There you go.
Big launcher. Thank you for saving me. But yeah, things have moved on from that, and it's not as dominant as it used to be.
This doesn't come
it's good to see Scorpios get a good lick this time, like a good kick finally, because getting stuck against the screws a couple years ago. It was just sad
Yeah.
because it should have won that qualifying fight between Black Ice and Bad Kitty. It should have had a chance, but then again, it would have fought Tombstone and got destroyed. But so maybe this worked out for the best. But it is a really pretty machine. I'm glad it got a good fight this time. Let's see if it can stack a couple wins together.
Who knows? We shall see. But I think it's time to pray silence for the greatest fight.
Here we go.
Battle Royale with cheese, a burger against Tantrum with a spatula attachment on the flipper. I love this on so many levels. The fight's not great. I'm not gonna lie here, ladies and gents. The fight's really not great. But it's just so wonderful to watch a spatula fight a burger. I mean, what more can I ask for?
What was it, Chris saying? Like, oh, we got to flip it over. Got to do the other side of the burger. It's not.
You see, that's what Lucky was missing, was a spatula.
Tom, you were going to say something?
I was going to say, I think, to be fair, I think they made the best of the fight that they could have done, really.
Yeah. You probably do way more than we do.
Yeah, and I think it worked in the best interests of everybody when Tantrum actually helped them get back over and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been quite a short fight otherwise. So.
Yeah. I will say, no, I think Battle Royale, give credit to Tantrum as well. They gave him a chance to spin up a little bit as well, which is great. I think they had issues coming into it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but I think they had issues with the machine itself.
Yeah, so
upon arriving.
from what I remember, it did work in the test box, but when they went in, I think they had a problem with their torque limiter. It was either set too high or too low, and unfortunately, it didn't really get up to speed. But it definitely does spin, and it looks pretty nasty. So,
Honestly, it was just. I mean, they're both very small machines in general. These two are probably two of the smallest robots in the entire competition. I have to say that the costumes, once again, I've mentioned it before. What on earth? Why on earth did they have a bird? Battle Royale. What was that about?
I mean, why not?
I just
KFC,
chicken at fast food restaurants, you know.
It's true. No, it's true. It's true. It was
Maybe it was Vietnamese. Maybe they're doing Vietnamese takeaway restaurants because they eat birds.
Oh, Lord.
They do. They do. Obviously, as mentioned already, the fight wasn't amazing. I will say, in this fight, Chris and Kenny were on point throughout. They were they were Jonathan Pierce-esque in their pun work. It was amazing.
Oh, it was amazing.
It was incredible. The fact that they kept going through and they just kept pulling out new things out of the bag. It was great fun, and as much as it wasn't a good fight, it was a good fun fight, and that's another good thing about this season. It doesn't take itself too seriously, which is great.
You need good fights like that to make. I mean, it's good TV. It may not be the most funny. It was a funny fight. It wasn't like it wasn't a Tombstone Minotaur. It was campy. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
Because it's a robot with a spatula flipping a robot that looks like a burger. What else do you want?
What was the team captain or the driver of Tantrum called again? What's his name again?
That escapes me. I'm going to look it up.
I was just going to say, because I have to give him credit actually, because good sportsmanship and all. I mean, let's be fair, that battle had no right of going any longer than it did. At first, and the fact that he righted it to make more of a battle out of it, gave them a chance. Fair play to the guy.
My dad was behind me while I was watching this fight, and he says, "I don't know if I would flip him over," but I'm like, "Dad, you got to make it more of a fight. It's got to be more entertaining.
Yeah,
it's got to be more than that.
You've got to at least, I respect them again for making more of a show out of it because they didn't have to. They could have just left them there and just left them to die.
Absolutely, they could have done what Inertia Labs do in their fights. Hey,
shots fired there.
I mean, Tom, bless him, he knows all about battles ending quick. So
Tom 8 seconds Brewster at it again.
Can't do that.
His name's Aaron Hill. So good work, man.
Geez.
Obviously Tantrum defeating the burger, Battle Royale with cheese, unfortunate for them. So we'll move on to Endgame and Lockjaw, two teams that have already won fights this season. I'll be honest, I was kind of expecting a bit more from Lockjaw in this fight, but with a big spinner, having the exposed wheels that Lockjaw does, it does limit the design somewhat. And obviously, Endgame took full advantage and certainly coming on strong now.
I think I think one of the big things that happened early on was I think Lockjaw.
It got pinned in the floor, didn't it?
Yeah, I think one of their faults went inside the kill saw mechanism, and it got stuck to the polycarbonate, and then Endgame just went in, and that was kind of the beginning of the end game. I thought.
Oh, very good, very good.
Tom's picking it up. He's getting the pun game going.
Oh.
Well, he's been. I
don't think so. I don't think so.
I'll say he's been on there 3 times, but he should know what's up. He knows what's up by now. Come on. Obviously, it was a good. It's nice to see a new machine doing well. Obviously, Endgame. It's not a new robot. I think it's fought in China before and such. But it's good to see that a new team coming to BattleBots again. Can turn up and do well. Much like yourself, Tom. Obviously, it's not easy going to a foreign country, new environment, and fighting some of the most experienced teams in the world. But they've done a good job. Fair play to them.
Yeah, no, fair play to them. I mean, it was both of our first time at BattleBots, and it's good to see them do quite well. I mean, I think they did quite well at FMB. I think they actually won, didn't they?
I think they won.
Yeah, they won Fight My Bot.
Yeah, and it's a really solid machine. It's a nice team. And fair play to them. Yeah, they beat Lockjaw fair and square.
Yeah. Anderson, anything to add?
Yeah, well, not really. I mean, Lockjaw are a bit unlucky, but to be honest, I don't really think, even if that hadn't happened, I still think that they probably would have lost overall, because exposed wheels plus big spinny disc, what's gonna come out what's gonna come out on top is always gonna be the spinner, if you ask me. So yeah. But well done again to Endgame. I mean, it is a fine machine. It really is. About time something good came out of New Zealand, So.
Anyway, well.
Flight of the Conchords, man. Flight of the Conchords.
Well, let's be fair, right? Okay, in Robot Wars we had Tauron. What the hell was that thing? I mean, come on.
It's yeah. Anyway,
not Tauron. Sorry, Reptilian.
Reptilian. That's the geezer. Obviously, this week once again there is another Science Channel exclusive Rumble. I believe it's Kraken again, Mohawk and Gemini. I want to say. I think that's the Science Channel Rumble. We'll cover that next week. Obviously, as we're recording this, it hasn't actually aired yet, so we don't know what happens. But
I wonder if Kraken will do a cracking job.
Oh dear God, that was dreadful. That actually hurt me.
I had to get one up on Tom. Sorry, he's taking the job from me here.
God damn.
Oh dear. So I suppose we should move to our main event, which is was built up very nicely. Obviously, there's this amazing classic footage at the start.
I love that.
At the start,
I couldn't get over that, how they were showing that all that old stuff. That is something, again, and I want to just thank the production team and Discovery for really digging for this kind of stuff, because this is the stuff I love,
Yeah.
And this is the stuff that needs to be shared, because there's a lot of robot combat that goes on off the television, It was just so cool. All right, gushing over.
It was awesome that as Steve mentioned, they got this classic footage. I think from 2005. I want to say. I think it's on YouTube somewhere. Of Tombstone, actually called Tombstone back in those days, not Last Rites, against Megabyte, which is obviously the same team who built Gigabyte's old robot. And obviously in those days, I think Megabyte was a bit more successful than Tombstone were. It was a bit more, a bit more refined at the time. Ray was still kind of finding his feet. So it was built up really nicely as, Tombstone, the only team that could stop them years ago, have come back with something new to try and stop them now. Obviously, things didn't quite go to plan. There was this really cool replay after the fight, and I think no one saw it. You couldn't really see it in the match itself, because it was on a wide shot. It was on a wide shot when it happened as well, so you couldn't actually see it. But there's a replay where you see Tombstone collide with Gigabyte, and the central pillar holding the ring on just shoots upwards vertically. It just goes, it's split in half, clean. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch in the slow mo, and then the whole dome of Gigabyte comes off, and it's still spinning.
Oh, that was amazing to watch in the pits. I can tell it. That's amazing.
It was incredible. I'm going to make a SpongeBob reference of all things here. It's actually from my girlfriend inspired this when she was watching it with me. It's the episode where Mr. Krabs loses his shell and he's like this gooey mess underneath. That is what Gigabyte was in this fight. I will say,
SpongeBob podcast.
Yeah, the SpongeBob cast coming soon.
The Under the Sea podcast. The
Oh
Pineapple
yes,
podcast.
it's coming soon. Watch out, guys. Obviously, I will say fair play to Ray for not laying into them, because
Oh yeah,
He kept
definitely.
telling them to stop. He kept telling them to stop moving. Else, I mean,
he's got to go in.
the fight's still going on.
I did like the sort of sarcastic "stop moving," you know, like it was like goading them, just like I knew what he was doing. He tried to look like a bad guy, but he was really telling them, just stop, I won't hit you, I promise.
Yeah.
Because I think if he had, I think that could have been tournament over for Gigabyte. I really do.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, but it was such an amazing moment just watching Gigabyte's top just fly off. It was incredible. I think they mentioned on their Facebook page it was due to the alloy of the column support. I can't remember exactly the reason why, but go on.
I believe they had the part made in China, and it was supposed to be one grade of, I think, aluminium, an aluminium alloy, but it was a different type or something, and that was the part that failed. So
Right.
yeah, it's an unfortunate way to go, but it made some cracking TV.
So basically, what you're saying is, don't buy anything from China if you're planning on making a combat robot.
This is very true. Obviously, you know, we saw in Robot Wars Magnetar had a Chinese gearbox which failed on their Shreemech. Just saying. Obviously,
It's becoming a pattern.
it's not like a general thing, but obviously, you know, it's obviously very new technology in China, so it's understanding there's a few teething problems. I will say this: the fact that Tombstone has now fought Minotaur and Gigabyte, two of probably the most dangerous machines in the competition, and beaten both of them without really looking too. I mean, obviously the Minotaur damage was quite severe, as we found out, but it doesn't seem too bad. What can stop them?
I honestly don't think anything can. I mean, I said in our preview video, I think free shipping could do it, but not anymore. I want it to win, but I mean, Tombstone. Yeah.
Well, yes.
Well, Ray's back with a vengeance because he had to change his machine because obviously there's a new rule this year. You know, your spinners have to be a certain speed, so he's had to take a look, take a look at it, and redesign the machine a little bit. And it's actually, if anything, paid off even more. I'm just saying, I don't think anything can beat it this time around. I think we could be seeing him champion again.
I have to ask Tom: did you fancy fighting them?
Oh, I feel like I can't say anything without giving away spoilers. I would love to have a go at Tombstone. Yeah, sure.
we shall see.
Yeah. I mean, after that fight, Tombstone was absolutely wrecked. Like, the frame. I mean, sorry. After the Minotaur fight, it was absolutely wrecked.
Yeah.
The frame was cracked all over, and I think to fix it, they actually had to cut the entire thing in half. And Ray took it home in his truck and welded it at home. And it would literally have been maybe 2 or 3 hits before it would have just fallen apart. Like it was trash. And then to come back, like I think it might have been. It wasn't the next day, wasn't it? It might have been the next evening. And then to fight Gigabyte and to win, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I will admit, like I actually did know before the season started that these fights were happening. I was told, I can't remember who by, but someone told me. I can't remember who it was, and I said then I saw Tombstone losing both of these.
Wow.
The fact that they've gone on and won them both, I just feel like a complete idiot. So this is the end of the RoboCast, everyone. I'm formally stepping down. I was gone. It's just one of those things where you can't really call it because it's just such it's the flip over a coin, really. You know, one dodgy hit somewhere and it goes the other way. It's amazing that Ray's been so consistent already. Will it last out? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, as we were talking with Misha last week, it's one of those wheels, man. If somebody can just get around and be faster than him, you never know. That's the only way to take him out.
That's what everyone says. Just go around the side. But the size of the weapon makes it almost impossible to get around.
Oh yeah.
Okay, what if you go over and just quickly take the control off him for 5 seconds?
maybe
that might work.
Maybe that's the only solution. Who knows? I think that pretty much brings us to the end of the episode. Obviously, Tom, once again, congratulations finally on your first win.
Thank you.
On TV, so at least. Obviously, we might see you again in a couple of weeks. Would you be willing to come back and be grilled once more?
Sure thing. Yeah, love to.
Fantastic. Good man. Well, just before we end though, I want to do a quick shout out to a few people out there on YouTube land and in general. First of all, to the Bristol Bot Builders, mostly ran by Joe Brown and Craig Croucher of 20 Flamingo. They run a Antweight and Beetleweight building / battling club, if you like, in Bristol. And they do some fantastic stuff. They do bodge builds, for less than £25. It's all good fun. Go and have a look at those guys on Facebook if you fancy it. Another one, Antweight Anarchy, brought to us by Vote Saxon and Two Penny Milk. Those guys are brilliant at what they do. They've made a fantastic show. I insist you go and watch it because they are really lovely people and they've done a fantastic job. And thirdly, coming soon is BattleBots. I can't remember who... Is it Sarah who's running that? I can't remember. I want to say it is. Sarah Mallion and a few other people running BattleBots, which is a Beetleweight competition for YouTube. Similar to Antweight Anarchy, but I think there's a bit more production going into it, which I really can't wait to see come out. So once again, go and check those guys out.
Just a quick shout out to our sole sponsor, K-Cut. Without them we couldn't have done it because it's a very, very expensive hobby. They're a great water jet cutting place, and thank you very much, K-Cut.
For all your cutting needs.
Apart from video cutting.
None of that's happened in this podcast. We're on about Anderson.
Yeah, true, yeah.
Plugging out the way, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. It was a really good. I actually think this was probably the strongest episode of the season so far.
It was
for me.
It
was a good bit of fun. Anyway, I've been Sam864.
I've been Answer9132, the RoboCast Guru.
I've been Steve the American Killjoy.
And I've been Tom from Team Monsoon.
Monsoon! And we will see you next week for episode 5. Sayonara.
I just want to thank my sponsor, K-Cut. Without them, we couldn't really have done it because it's a very, very expensive hobby. So thank you very much, K-Cut. And actually, in other news, Sam, I just spotted on Instagram that you have got yourself a new dog.
I do have a dog. We have
blatant plugging at its finest. There, guys.
That was important.
If you want to see more of my dog, check out Sam864 on Instagram.
The people listening to your podcast, they're going to want to know about your dog.
They're going to want to know about my dog and K-Cut, obviously.
Is he a good boy though? Is your dog a good boy?
Well, it's a she. It's a girl.
She's a girl, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
Well, she's a heckin' good girl then.
She is a hecking good girl indeed.
Okay. Now we can end the podcast.